Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and here we have a fine example of Crown Landscaping at work. The new owner has taken over 4900 Durham Road North in the town of Lincoln, and he's decided to beautify the waterfront by putting in some shoreline protection. This is some of the last natural shoreline in this section of Lake Ontario. It's about 1,000 feet long, and it's the home of cliff swallows, red-tailed hawks, the occasional fox, groundhogs, and rabbits. In the last 4 days, Crown Landscaping and the new owners of the project have done more damage to the environment and to this shoreline than what's done or has been done in the last 20 years that I've lived here. Right now, where this excavator is working, he's demolishing a cliff where easily 100 nesting cliff swallows reside. I have reason to believe that cliff swallows are an endangered species in the province of Ontario, and the Ministry of Natural Resources has been contacted. Even though there are permits for shoreline work from the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority, from the Ministry of Natural Resources, and a notice of project taken out, it is still a bit of a tragedy to see some of this natural shoreline being destroyed as such. If you take a look at the color of Lake Ontario, you can see how much sediment is being washed into the lake. And usually for a regular construction site in any other part of the province of Ontario, silt fence has to be put up to prevent this very occurrence. But in this case, it doesn't seem to matter. What they're doing is bringing rock in, dropping it over the side, and then repositioning it with the other excavator. You can see the arm of the one bucket dropping it now. There are supposed to be official plans and rules and regulations in place to regulate this type of work. But I can't imagine how anybody could give permission for this amount of destruction. In no way will this be natural. In fact, even that chunk of rock that you see the excavator picking up right now, it doesn't look very natural, does it? I'm not sure if it is natural material or if it's surplus concrete. Oops, there goes another fish. I believe that the whole purpose of the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority is to protect our natural resources. In this case, some of the remaining natural resources are basically being bulldozed. I don't know who the new owners of the property formerly known as the Kruger Farm are, but to pay $3 million for a piece of real estate and another $500,000 to do shoreline protection, they must have something up their sleeves. Another monster home, another paved parking lot. Is it going to be turned into a winery or some other type of agribusiness? And I imagine on their websites they'll be talking about how they're trying to preserve the environment, to bring the customers out to take a view of the lake and enjoy the scenery, enjoy the wildlife. It's too bad at this stage of their ownership they're basically destroying the scenery and destroying the wildlife. I've tried to get other agencies involved to look into it. Hopefully the Ministry of Natural Resources will respond fairly quickly and decide the remaining cliffs where the cliff swallows do live will eventually be saved. But probably within the next 48 hours that entire cliff face will be gone. And 200 tons of stone will have been dumped into the lake. So much for a natural environment. As you can see the block work in front of you right here, this is what the previous owner had done. This too used to be a natural shoreline, but he thought he was going to protect it. Unfortunately, nobody showed due diligence and made sure that he kept all the work on his own property. He had the balls to extend the work on the neighboring property and the property that this camera is sitting on. Where this camera is sitting right now is a right-of-way. It's actually public access to the lake that has been owned for over 100 years by the town of Lincoln. And unfortunately, it's been bulldozed also. Bulldozed and maybe paved over. It'll be a sorry sight to see in the springtime when the swallows do come back. I was reading on the internet last night that cliff swallows actually migrate from South America. Can you imagine traveling up north on a long weekend to your beloved cottage and finding out it's gone? Now what are they going to do? They've been nesting here for years. And as far as I can tell, from 50 Point Marina to the other side of Ontario Street in Beamsville, there are no other locations where the cliff swallows are residing. So it's not like they can just pick up and go someplace else. It's amazing what somebody with a couple bucks in their pocket can do. I was hoping that the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Ministry of the Environment per se, and the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority would say, hey, there's got to be a better way to do this. But obviously there's not. They do have a mandate. Whether or not they're showing due diligence, it might be too late. You can see the wave action today. This is only the beginning of winter, January, in the middle of January. And whatever rocks they do end up picking up there, don't be surprised if the lake comes along and rearranges them for them. But in the meantime, all this natural habitat is gone. What a shame.